So this is just another, what I'm kind of considering a sanctuary area. This is kind of a spur of really thick cover on the neighbors that heads north. And then obviously we had this log, and I did some hinge cutting there. And I don't know, I'm going to keep an eye on it. I may come in and take out some of these smaller trees just to make sure this area stays really, really thick. And I've done a little working here to open trails. I'm probably going to do a little more just so the deer don't feel trapped by all these deadfalls and tops and everything. And so we'll just keep working back to the west here. But this stand basically has been here since I own the property, but it's hard to get to. It's now that it's been logged, it's not really, you're not really concealed. I did hunt this during the rut this year. I did see a big buck. I think it was a 3.5-year-old, I can't be sure, chasing a doe over here. This neighboring parcel, which is 55 acres, is getting thicker every year. It's an old field, and it's getting better and better bedding every year. So that stand's going to come out of there, but we're going to work our way west, and straight west of me is the pond, and we use a boat to come across that. So we'll kind of touch on that, but it's very difficult to access here, and even using the boat's not ideal. So I don't really have a great idea of the best way to hunt this. So it's a work in progress. It's only about half deep, so about 1 to 2 feet of water and about 3 feet of mud. So we have a stand at the tip of that fence row. We tend to come in from where my beehives are and sneak down the middle into there. And it's been super productive for does, yearling bucks, and 2.5-year-olds. I hunted there in the afternoon just before gun season this year, and I passed 3 2.5-year-old bucks, probably 4 yearlings, and they're all deer working this way. They're coming up out of those areas we walked through, and that was on more of a northerly wind. And then we have a stand in this cottonwood here, and I have access right along the water from where we parked the boat, and we'll sneak into there. And it's been productive. Same thing, not for mature bucks at all. But we've been able to be pretty hidden up there. Usually don't get spotted. The deer just travel right around this point. They do cut the corner and travel underneath us sometimes. There are quite a bit of deer bedding right along the pond, especially early season. But it's not really an early season spot for us. So I'm hoping that this will be like a good rut spot with the proper wind in the future. There's a peninsula that sticks out into the pond, and there's usually, I think, a nice buck in late summer bedding there. So this summer I parked my truck here, and my daughter and I were taking pictures of flowers and stuff, and it was a really still day. And we were messing around. I was kind of where those two kids were, and I hear this like major splashing, and I wasn't quite where they were, but I ran where they were, and I missed the deer. But this is completely covered with weeds, the top of the water with duckweed. You could see a black path through the pond where the deer ran off that point and took off. And I'll show you that peninsula. And I actually think it could be an early season spot to take the boat and actually hunt out of a saddle on that peninsula, and try to get back before he comes back to bed. Is something we thought about trying for fun, and it might work.
Morning spot.
morning spot. I did have one year I had a 2.5-year-old bedded with a doe during the rut. Again, this area is getting way thicker than the first few years when we hunted here. So I'm hoping that as this becomes more bedding, you know, for them to be more productive during that late October, early November time. This peninsula just ends right here. So I had a guy tell me he thought this peninsula would be a big buck magnet. So, and then I had that experience of that single deer. So, but when we take the boat, we cross the pond, you know, to the
you go around it.
Yeah, to the north of me here. So we'll loop around. I'll kind of show that to you. It was just kind of a cool feature. So we've kind of come full circle. This is that high spot I pointed out where the does, especially late season, will, you know, come out and work their way across. And so we call this the Sleepy Pond because sometimes it dries up. It's just where my son made it. So you'll see that. You'll see my access from the north side.
What do you got in here?
Oaks.
These are all oak?
Yeah, white oak. This one might have not have made it, but you can. A lot of them have leaves. They're actually doing okay. That stand in that cottonwood, we got an access right along the swamp, and this is usually clover and kind of getting not so much clover, so we're probably very productive doe spot. I also had some 2.5-year-old bucks, and even before dark, pretty good success, you know, on 2.5-year-old bucks coming by here, you know, before dark. So we're going to walk down here, and in the corner, that's where we parked the boat. And then I got a little crossing of the swamp I'll show you. And we'll work our way all the way back around. So you can probably see that I'm trying to do the stealthy access thing, but I'm not so sure. You know, it's not working real good just because the screens aren't tall enough. The boat tends to make a lot of noise. And it's tough where the bedding areas are. It's tough to not have your wind blowing into your bedding areas when you're accessing. And it's tough to try to always hunt, you know, 2 hours, you know, before daylight. So
before I run out of battery here, we covered 4 of the strategies that Adam mentioned. One more I remembered was hunt with a purpose or analysis, data. Have a good reason to go in there. When are you hunting these? How do you decide where to go, Matt?
Well, this tends to be more of an early season on a southerly wind, or preferably a southwest wind blowing through the switchgrass. And this actually can work in the morning, early season pretty good. And also evening, the deer tend to filter right through here. We don't tend to have a lot of older bucks in daylight on camera or in person, which I think is a combination of hunting pressure, but also there's just not enough cover, you know, here for where the mature bucks want to be. Now, I will point out, as we walk at the very end toward the road, there's a super bedding area just to the north, and it's just loaded with does. And I run trail cameras there pretty much all year along my edge there, and I don't think I've gotten any of the older class bucks coming out of that bedding area, even when it's been fairly unpressured, leaving a camera there. And I think it's just because it's close to the road, it's close to the house, and it's just so full of does that I think there's a lot of 2.5-year-old bucks, but I think the older bucks just don't want to be there. So you'll see that, and just past my duck blind, I'm building a duck blind, but just past there's a double ladder stand, and we'll hunt that late season, and the does just pile out from the north, and we killed a whole bunch of does doing that, this year. We'll probably do that every year.
And so what's the last strategy we haven't covered yet?
Forward and backward, yeah. I mean, and I started hunting. I always wanted to go put a stand in the best spots, and every year I hunt less, and I hunt less good spots, and every year I have a much higher percentage of deer sightings, and much higher percentage of kills. So it's total opposite of what you would expect. It's totally been my experience. So.